Hello, I'm So Kim from Korea University, which is located in Seoul, South Korea. In this research, we've tried to find out an emerging gap in becoming a global citizen, particularly focused on evidence from South Korea. And this presentation will be in this order: introduction, literature review, methods, results, and conclusions. First, let me explain why we chose this subject. Due to the expansion of globalization, citizenship education has been increasingly emphasized in the global area. Civic knowledge and political engagement of youth are essential to make a better society in terms of mitigating social and ethnic tensions observed in multicultural society. South Korea also importantly analyzed the significance of global citizenship education with a remarkable increase of immigrant population. Here's the number of immigrant students in South Korea. According to Korean Ministry of Education in South Korea, the current number of school-aged children from international, interethnic, or interracial marriage and foreign worker families is about 120,000. This refers to an approximate 300% increase from about 46,000 in 2012. Since 1997 financial crisis, social polarization and also inequality issue of different areas of learning activities and competence has been noted in South Korea. However, less research on variation in the global citizenship across social class, while substantial research has domestically focused on the achievement gap in the core subject like Korean or math. So we expect that this research contributes to fill this gap using the data source from the IEA's International Civic and Citizenship Education Study. Yes, so there are three research aims. First, to shed light on readiness of Korean youth to become a global citizen in terms of three learning outcomes: cognitive, social-emotional, and behavioral dimensions. Second, to investigate to what extent the global citizen competence varies by demographic factors. Third, to examine whether family background plays a mediating role in different learning outcomes of global citizenship education. Also, we offer some conclusions about key findings of resource model and policy implications for GCED in Korea. As literature review, I want to first offer the definition of global citizenship education. According to a UNESCO report, this is a kind of education that aims to empower learners of all ages to assume active roles, both locally and globally, in building more peaceful, tolerant, inclusive, and secure societies. Therefore, 3CED seeks to engender a sense of belonging to a broader community and common humanity, which emphasize political, economic, social, and cultural interdependence and interconnectedness between the local and national and the global. There are several typologies of global citizenship education categorized differently by scholars like these. Meanwhile, Church and Gaudeli emphasize that different policies and programs can have quite different underlying goals. From now on, I would like to introduce you to the analytical framework applied in this study. UNESCO reports have classified GCED outcomes into three dimensions such as cognitive, social and emotional, and behavioral dimension. Cognitive dimension means knowledge and critical thinking skill necessary to better understand the world and its complexities. Social and emotional dimensions stand for skills, attitudes, and values that enable learners to collaborate, negotiate, create, and communicate in a diverse and globalized world. And behavioral dimension is to act in compassionate, respectful, and nonviolent ways, building constructive relationships. We choose gender and family background as key factors of GCD outcomes. Gender matters in high achievement and civic knowledge. Girls outperform boys in most countries of the ICCS 2009. Also, youth from high-income families are likely to have positive experience in civic education compared to their counterparts from a working class. Research questions derived from these prior studies are as follows. First, to what extent do you see the outcomes of Korean students differ by their demographic factors? Second, to what extent family SES relates to different learning outcomes of GCD in South Korea? This study used Korean data from ICCS 2016. ICCS Korea 2016 is about student knowledge and understand, attitudes and perception, and activities related to civics and citizenship. And it includes 2,601 Korean youth in 8th graders. And dependent variable are cognitive dimensions and social and emotional dimension and behavioral dimension. We use PVCIV factor, which is measured by 5 plausible value estimates in the ICCS 2016 civic knowledge test as cognitive dimension. It can be interpreted that higher scores indicate more knowledgeable in civic and citizenship education. Next, SRI is used as a variable for social and emotional dimension. It describes students' endorsement of equal rights for all ethnic or racial groups, and higher values indicate more positive attitudes toward equal rights. Finally, as school part is chosen as a variable for behavioral dimension. It refers to students' participation at school, and higher value indicate higher levels of participation, just the same above. Gender is divided by boy and girl as dummy variable, and we made a school location factor by dummy recording a variable which originally consists of 5 values classified by the number of people living in the area. We use 3 variables as first family SES factor, highest parental occupational status, highest parental educational level, and home literacy resources. We designed research model in series of multivariate regression model on 3 GCD outcomes and a hierarchical approach to analyzing associations of family SES with 3 GCD outcomes. Especially statistical analysis software packaged in R is to account for the complex sampling and test design of international assessment data such as PISA, TEAMS, and ICCS. So we utilize this software to fit multivariate regression model using the ICCS 2016 from a complex survey designed with plausible value. Table 1 shows the cognitive outcome models. As you can see in the table, all variables have associations with a cognitive variable except for school location. Table 2 is the social and emotional outcome models. Gender and highest parental occupational status do not have any statistically significance on the dependent variable. And Table 3 refers to behavioral outcome models. Highest parental occupational status does not show a significant association with a dependent variable in all 3 models, and school location have a significant association with that only in Model 1. As for a conclusion, I'd like to briefly mention the key findings that we found in this study. A close association among each outcome variable. All three dimensions depend on each other. Family background matters. SES variables tend to remain statistically significant after controlling another dimensions, substantial gaps in all three dimensions. However, parental occupational status does not have any significant association with social, emotional, and behavioral dimension. The coefficients of family background factors get decreased with adding dimension variables. It refers that family background factor might play a mediating role in its dimension. Gender gaps vary by dimensions. Girls tend to show high performance on cognitive and behavioral dimension, while there's no significant difference in social and emotional dimension. Students in urban school outperform students in rural area in terms of social and emotional dimension. It might be resulting from diverse resources in cities, and students living in urban area are likely to have more experiences in GCED, such as studying abroad. For the very last, I'd like to give a policy implications for GCED in South Korea. As you can see in the graph, the portions of social, emotional, and behavioral learning are remarkably decreased, while cognitive learning increased as the school level goes higher. So we would like to draw equity issue and GCD outcome, particularly for cognitive dimension for upper secondary school students in Korea context. Ultimately, acquisition of civic knowledge is enough for students to become a global citizen. Thank you for listening to our presentation so far. If you have any questions regarding this study, please do not hesitate to contact the email address listed here. Thank you.